There we go.
Hey,
Oh, hello again.
it's perfect. You
There we
still look
go.
just as fantastic as 20 minutes ago.
Well,
Did
I
you
do
go move
try.
around?
I do try. In this hot summer afternoon or late afternoon in South Africa. Oh,
Yeah,
look at all the hearts. I love all these hearts. But it's upside down. I can't really see. So hello everybody.
I know. I'll try to keep up with reading sideways too. So we have some planned questions. I have some
This would
things
be
that I'm
like a
excited.
Tracy while we're doing the interview.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So we'll do a mix of planned questions. I'm sure that people who are live in the chat will pop on. They might ask some additional questions too. So I
Okay.
feel like there's so much we could talk about. And since we have an hour, I'm like, let's go ahead and get started. And maybe the best place to start is for you to tell us a little bit about your journey with Tracy Anderson. How did you get started with the method, Gillian?
Uh, it began with my search for what I knew I needed to work for my body.
Mm-hmm.
I have a particularly difficult body. I'm tiny. I'm probably about that much shorter than Tracy. I'm very, very curvy.
Okay.
I love to eat. I love to drink. I love to enjoy my life. So I cannot have anything that impedes me from looking my best because I can look at a muffin and boy, do I grow. So, and my body is just one of those bodies where I need something particularly unique in order to make those muscles work, in order to design the body the way that Tracy has designed and created her method. So my journey's really started with ballet. Being a curvaceous and tiny lady, I wasn't the Bolshoi choice. Bolshoi? I was not a ballerina. Ballerinas in my day need to be long and lithe, and it's all about the lines. But I did get a point. But then I decided, obviously, ballet wasn't going to be my career because I didn't have the body. So I did aerobics. And I started aerobics right in the beginning of in South Africa. Did nothing for me. A few moves, little aerobics, nothing. And that's basically because we were doing the same moves over and over and over again. And my muscles, once they know the moves, not interested. They learn very quickly, and then once they've learned, they get very lazy. I need to be pushed. My body needs to be pushed. So then I'm going, okay, so this doesn't work for me. So I went to Pilates. Pilates didn't work for me either. Lovely for somebody who has got a genetically beautiful body. People might disagree with me, but this is the way I saw it. I did all the handstands. I was on the what is that big, I forget what the name is, but there was fur, and I was doing somersaults and this trumpet. I was doing all crazy type of things. I even almost became a Pilates teacher, but that didn't work for me either. It didn't create the body that Tracy has created me. And I knew in my heart of hearts that there was something out there that would do it for me,
Yeah.
So then I went to Bikram yoga. I thought, well, maybe this sweat, this type of intense workout would be good for my body. Do you know that I put on 12 kilograms while I was doing Bikram yoga? Yes.
Oh, wow.
Why? Because the sweat does not make you lose weight. It is the strategic design of the method that pulls in all of those muscles, and the more muscles that you are engaging, the more your metabolism needs to work. So 12 kilograms, I was a heavy weight on the Bikram floor. So I thought, okay, I didn't know about Tracy's method at that stage. So I decided to start cycling.
Mm-hmm.
I thought maybe if I cycled 210 kilometers, which is what I did, that I would have lovely thin thighs and everything would be wonderful and my life would be great and I would carry on drinking lots of vodka and everything would be fabulous. No, did not work like that at all. My thighs ended up being like this. Why? Because I've got a propensity to build bulk in my thighs. So that didn't work for me either. It just made me grumpy. It made me sweaty. And I actually did a race called the double century in South Africa. and that was 210 kilometers. And I lost nothing. My thighs were big, and I was unhappy, and I was awful, and I didn't like myself. But in the background, I was reading about Tracy. Yep. Little interviews were coming into the media. She was training that singer. We don't mention names, that one. And I could see basically what she was doing, and what she was saying made intellectual sense to me, because I knew that my body needed something more. And that is when I started on the webinars. I'd moved to a small town in South Africa, a little village, and it was a concrete floor. We were going to renovate. It was a new relationship, and I was all excited. I was going to do the country life, and it was all concrete floors. And so I can't, Chris? Right, I can't, but it doesn't matter. I got distracted, but I can't. It's just fine. So I went on the webinars, and in the one webinar, Tracy said, "Give me a beat," and that was me done. I just loved it from that moment on, because the music flows. She uses the music. We're made to move through music. It comes into your heart. It fills your cells. It creates the essence of who you are. You know. And once I'd started that, once she gave me that beat, there was no going back. Then in that little country town, I then decided to order the Meta DVDs.
Okay.
And that was pretty scary, because I didn't even know if the South African Postal Service would deliver them to me. Because I don't think anybody understands South Africa. We are not your usual country. And if you think you know about South Africa, you don't. It is so complex. There's no right or wrongs. There's so many things that we still need to work out. And one thing is our postal service. So I was quite delighted when I got a note to say I could go to the postal service and collect the DVDs. And that's when I started Meta, so many years ago. Okay. And let me tell you, I know you want to ask me another question, but I'm on a roll. Yeah?
No, go ahead.
From cycling, where my thighs were like this, I did a Meta, and within 2 weeks, I lost 2 inches off my thighs. 2 inches off my thighs.
Wow.
Wow. That was such a change. That was such a motivation that there's no ways I was going to stop this. So I did it to the T. I did that Meta cardio, sometimes twice, on the concrete floor. I did Meta right through to year 2, and then the TA real time started. But by that stage, my body had changed dramatically, and it's still changing today.
That's amazing. So yeah. I feel like you could be on an advert for Tracy Anderson, right? Going through the entire journey. You did all of Meta before starting streaming when she launched that. I am curious, did you, what centric did you choose when you first ordered the Meta DVDs?
I wasn't sure, actually. So I went for Omni.
You went for Omni?
I don't know, but I did Omni and I loved it. I loved every moment. But that is where we'll probably get to this subject, where the seed started while I was doing those Metas. Yes. Yes.
Okay. So I am curious, because I've heard a couple of little birdies have told me that you've had some involvement in kind of starting the Tamily name or the Tamily group, which to me is amazing, because I think of how many women on an international scale, women and men, participate. Can you tell me a little bit about your
first of all, I'm going to set the record. Yeah. First of all, I'm going to set the record straight, because I would like to, because I think I'm confident enough to do it. Yes, I did. And it was intentional. Yep. It was something that we wanted to do. I did it with Aurora. Aurora decided to stop, and I would like to ask that nobody ask me about Aurora, because I love her and I respect her. She decided to opt out, but I will always include her in what we did. And yes, we did. We started International Tamily. And I say that from the heart.
Yeah.
Tamily is a word that could be coined and people might have used that, but the term International Tamily, as you know today, is what we started. And I said to Tracy that I give it to her because ultimately it's hers. Nobody can own what the Tamily is now, okay? Nobody can own it. It's an organic organ of beautiful, like-minded people that are growing, okay? Yeah. We are Tam Nation. We have Ask Tamily. We have all these wonderful offshoots. How can one possess it or try to make it one's own? You cannot. And I refuse to, oh, I did it. It's all about me. It's all about me. It's all about me. No. Aurora and I were having a lot of fun. And it came from the heart. And when she's on a high, she's on a high. And I tell you, we sparked. From the moment we met, we sparked. And I remember very vividly when we created Tam International Tamily. It was after the Color Weeks. When the TA Real Time started, we started the Color Weeks on IG. And there were only a few groups of girls at that stage. And what we wanted to do was create a union, because I'd been doing Meta on my own. Everybody had been doing Meta. We had one forum, but nothing to really glue us, to join us, to make us feel that we are doing it in one studio as such, you know? So that was what our intention was. So we started Color Weeks. At that time, I was still IG new. I didn't know you had to be public, so I was private. So nobody knew what I was doing. And I don't mind, but I did create the yellow. It was my idea. And then Tracy did the yellow. And then I went, gosh, I'm doing all this. And everybody's, you know, I'm not getting any flipping, you know, hello, or how are you doing, or whatever. So I went public. God, there we go. I'm going to do it. I'm going to go public.
I love it.
And that's when Tracy immediately started following me. And we formed a friendship. And then what happened is, in those days, it was so incredible in that we would say this week was going to be yellow, or this week was going to be pink. That was the initial one, okay? Very simple thing. But if you can imagine the new week starting on IG, and everybody who posted in that day wore or had something of that color in their post. So the entire page was just awash with this incredible color. It was unifying. It was beautiful. We felt like we were not alone when we were working out, you know? Yep. And that's why I still post. Then we started Tam International Tamily, because we realized that there were people who were all over the world who also wanted to feel that they were part of it. And it should be inclusive, not exclusive. Everybody should feel that they can exercise. I hate this idea where people have to be these perfect models and whatever, and posing. No, this workout is hot, it's sweaty, you're connecting yourself. Sometimes you are angry, sometimes you're elated, sometimes you're happy, sometimes you're expressive, sometimes your hair is so sweaty, it mats to your eyes. It's not about being flipping perfect. It's about connecting with the true heart of who you are. And Tracy does that because she is a very special human being. Now, back on the Tam International. So what we did was we decided that each week, instead of the color, we were going to do an international theme. Okay. So Aurora and I, and we also invited everybody else through a introductory post, was to dress up. So we dressed up in everything. My favorite was British rock punk.
Yes.
Got a whole lot of outfits together and just put this thing. I mean, no, Aurora and I did not buy one thing. We just used whatever we had. We were so creative. We were so sparky in those days. We were filled with joy. We were filled with excitement. It came from that. It came from there. Not, oh, look what we can do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that was just amazing. And you would see some of the things. If we could go right down to IG, right in the beginning, you would see some of the funky things we did. It was incredible.
I'm going to go back and check it out.
Please, if you got enough, because in South Africa, our connection isn't that great, but if you've got a good enough connection and you're able to go right to the bottom, you will see some of the outfits that we did. It was fantastic. It was creative. It was fun. It made working out an event, an experience. Because remember, before Tracy started, people worked out 3 times a day. The idea of working out 7 times a day was not on the cards. It was awful. How dare she?
Right.
I mean, really, this little
Yeah.
lady, how dare she say that I'm a doctor, I'm a man, I know better. That's why I love her. I'm also tiny, but she's given me the confidence, and she knows it. Because when I met her, she knew that my confidence was down for various reasons, you know. But she's given me that confidence, and she's had to fight it. I've seen her. You can imagine, to bring this method, which is different, which was controversial in its day, to bring it to such an incredible longevity. She has to be a very strong lady, you know. So she gives us strength. It sort of flows through her workouts. And I think in a funny way, I also think that fuels her creativity. Because she's speaking about resilience a lot these days. And I feel resilient when I do the workout, you know. Anyway, so going back to Tamily Natural, so that's what we did. And then, of course, the beautiful thing happened. Like, you meet Katie, who's from Venezuela. She lives in Canada, but she is Venezuelan, and she loved what we did for that theme. You know, we did Spain, we did England, we did America, we did all of it. You know, and then when we exhausted that option, and now you see all the ladies from all over the world started to feel like they belonged.
Yeah.
So we first had the colors, which was union, and then everybody from the world belonged. So now we started what is now known as International Tamily, or what people say is Tamily, you see. And then we started the themes, because now we exhausted the countries, and there were no more clothes that we could actually get. You know?
You wore all the outfits.
And that's when the wigs started. Now, there's a little funny story about the wig. So I'm now in this little crazy store in a really small village in South Africa. I mean, it's a little dorpie. A dorpie is an Afrikaans word for little town. And there I'm on messaging Aurora, and she's bought this crazy wig. And I said, oh, I'm going to get one. I want to get one. I want to work out. Let's use that for our next theme. So I bought the green wig then. That was the start of the green wig. And I've got in the box. I've just recently moved, but that green wig is somewhere. And sometimes I wear it, and because it's the longevity of it, it's the consistency of it, it's keeping it up. It's keeping that flow of the heart, you know, going. Then the mini ears. The mini ears was the next. Mini ears was mine. Simply before, I'm seeing lots of people's. Does this just go up?
It just goes up. Yeah, there's so many comments saying how much they love you and appreciate you.
I'm so sorry, everybody. I've got such bad eyesight, and I'm way too whatever to put my glasses on. So
no,
I'm gonna read it later. I promise you, I'll read it later.
Yes.
Anyway, so excuse me, I'm just being honest. But yeah, anyway, so then the mini ears. Now the mini ears was all about empowerment, especially female empowerment. So basically, so the green wig and the mini ears became synonymous for, hey, we are going to grow our confidence. We're going to grow our strength. We're going through this journey with you, Tracy, and we're going to empower ourselves. We're going to uplift ourselves. Okay. Anyway, so that actually, there's a little anecdote I'd like to mention about that. Tracy, because of how quickly the International Tamily grew, we got invited to one of the first Vitality weeks in Tribeca. Okay. And let me put that on the record. Tracy could not invite everybody. It was a very, very small studio, so nobody was excluded. It was just the first people chosen were the ones. So that was all it was. Anyway, I of course go with my mini ears. I didn't know about that they were going to stream the class. I come into the class. We meet Tracy. I've got my mini ears on, and she says to me, "Are you going to do the class in those ears?" I said, "Yes, I am." She said, "Okay." What she didn't say to me was that they're filming it for the class of that week. So I'm daily doing my thing. And believe you me, I can rock it. Right?
Yeah.
And then after arms, Tracy goes out to the loo, or I don't know what she was doing, and the music was still pumping. And you know, when the music's pumping in the studio, it's flipping phenomenal. It's amazing. So I got down onto the floor, and I'm driving away with my head on the floor with my mini ears all over the place. Tracy comes back, and I pick myself back. Well, the next week, that was all over stream.
I love it.
I'm sure it's somewhere in the archives.
I'm sure it is. Maybe
Yeah.
one day we could convince her to put it up. She had for a short while the classroom experience. She had like a little section with older classes. So maybe I can send a request into the TAM studio and say, "Hey, pull that one up."
And she had the tie-dye. We did a tie-dye theme, and she included the tie-dye in her stream class. Oh, that was a fun theme. I loved that theme. But you see now how everybody came together. You see, it was such a small thing, and it doesn't need to happen anymore. That's why, because the Tamily is now glued. It's an organ that's growing. It's the roots are there.
Yeah.
It's just, beautiful.
Yes, I think of it almost like I'm trying to remember the types of trees that they are. I can't remember if they're ash trees or maple trees or something, but essentially they have a complete underground network with all the roots are connected, and more trees go. And I kind of think of that the same way. So I want to pause really quick because I just want to say thank you to you and Aurora for starting this. I know that nobody owns it, and that's fine, but it's really, I've benefited from it. I came into this method just a couple of years ago, and I feel like you're right. This group of Tamily members embraced me and helped support me, and now I want to participate and continue that on. And so I think it really pays it forward over and over. So thank you for bringing that to us.
Thank you. It means something, because for a long time I just kept quiet because I didn't do it for glory,
Right.
But what I see every day, and I still post, and you'll see my posts, I still say Tam, International Tamily. It's still in my heart, Yeah. Now, just on that note, on one of the first very stream that Tracy did, she said to the class before she started the class, "There's to be no judgment amongst any of you, and no judgment of me." And that is how beautiful the growth of the Tamilies, that's embedded in the roots, is that non-judgment. The other thing is that she taught me I read a beautiful quote, which is still my favorite quote, is, "I am no better than you, and you are no better than me. We are all equal." And that is why I'm against this whole celebrity and this, or if you've got fatter thighs and I've got thinner thighs, you're better than me. No. Nobody is better than anybody else. And this method is for everybody. It's not for the people who've got genetically blessed abs or whatever, you know what I mean? And I often just go through the posts and I see all these women of varying body shapes and sizes, all doing the moves so beautifully. It's really about owning your body, yourself, your connection. And when you're doing that, you're strutting your stuff, and you've got that lovely energy and confidence, which Tracy brings into the moves. You shine. You shine.
Oh, yeah.
And only time I get angry is when I hear that somebody has been nasty to somebody else. It's very rare, but it mustn't happen. That's all I ask of Tamily. Because everybody must be allowed to shine. Everybody should shine. And sometimes a lady does look more beautiful when she's voluptuous. You know, not everybody
Yeah,
has to look like a certain, not everybody. We have to have diversity in this world. We have to, you know. So there we go.
absolutely.
I've had my say, don't worry, I won't go on about it.
No, no, I think that's so important is,
And there's
you
no
know, it's
vodka here, I promise.
we wouldn't be mad if you added some. But yeah,
Okay.
the method is for everyone. I think there's beauty in everyone. There's beauty in every body type, every shape, every attitude, every personality. And it's really about, increasing that beauty for yourself right through this
Yes,
method. And everybody can
yes.
kind of shine and radiate more, which I love. And Katie said earlier, she said she's never felt more belonging and more confidence than being part of the Tamily, which I think is just, to
That's
me,
our
that's so
Katie.
great to hear. Yeah,
That's Katie. Isn't she
Katie,
gorgeous?
Katie,
Hey, Katie, I
stunning.
love you. I love you. She's gorgeous. And such a beautiful heart, huh?
Totally. And she looks
Mm.
just as young as her daughter. It's hard to tell that they're
I
not
know.
sisters.
I know. But
So the
she's
method
also
is a
very
testament.
consistent. She's very
She is.
consistent. Mm.
Yep. So Iva had a question for you earlier. She had brought up the Paris trip. So I'd love if you would talk a little bit about the Paris trip. But she also asked when, you're able to travel again, where will you go next?
Oh gosh. Okay, I'll ask the first part of the question. Okay, so the Paris trip was actually a true testament for me of International Tamily. It was for
Okay.
my birthday. I was very blasé about my age then. I feel 18 now, so I don't actually say my age much anymore, which I know maybe is the wrong thing, but this method makes me feel younger and younger, and I certainly act younger anyway. So, but it was for a birthday, and a whole group of ladies met me in Paris. Now we're talking about ladies from all over the world. Iva, Zat, Dita, I mean, it was, I'm Charlotte, Tony. I stayed with Charlotte and Tony in a beautiful Parisian apartment. And that to me was International Tamily. And what I loved about that trip was that nobody felt they were better than anybody else. Nobody took the front of the class and tried to, we all loved each other. We all respected each other. We all respected each other's journey, where we were in the journey. If you can extend your leg high or you can extend your leg early there, that's okay. That's where you are. And that is the joy. And to me, that was the best present ever, to see this International Tamily in Paris having fun. And I got to see Claire. Hi, Claire, if you're there. Is she there? I can't see. But Claire actually came all the way from London on a train to a place in Paris. And she bought me a vegan meal with champagne for my birthday. So we spent the day together. Yes, yes.
Oh,
Now,
that's so
I've had
sweet.
special times, yeah. And I would like to mention that I did bring the wigs, and so did Tony and some other girls. And we walked the Paris streets to the studio in wigs in honor of the method.
Oh, and your wig, not wait. I thought you meant ankle.
So there
wig.
you go.
You mean the wigs?
It
The
was
hair
fun.
wigs?
Sorry?
That is fun.
Yeah.
No, I'm just catching. So, I am curious a little bit about your trips to the US, and I think you had a trip where I don't know if you traveled 14 hours straight. You traveled a long time and essentially got right off the plane and went straight into a class.
Yes. Okay, yes, let me tell you about that. Okay, so the first trip, I realized I didn't sleep so well on the plane. So when I arrived in New York for the first Vitality in Tribeca, I was dead tired. I had bags in my eyes, and it took me quite a while to get into the flow of the time difference, So when I was invited by Tracy for the second Vitality in the Hamptons, I decided there's no ways that's going to happen again. I'm going to ask the doctor for sleeping tablets, but more than that, on the plane I get edema, so everything swells up. Now I didn't want to go into the studio looking like a Teletubby, because remember I'm tiny. So now if I'm all swollen, well then yes, I didn't want to do that. So I asked the doctor for edema tablets as well, water retention tablets. Well, again, on the flight, I'm all excited, and without thinking, I take 2 of these sleeping tablets. I slept the entire 14 hours from South Africa to New York. I woke up 2 hours before the, the flight stopped, just in time for breakfast. It was fabulous. Woo-hoo. She says, "Oh my gosh, you seem to be quite tired." Anyway, and then immediately I took the edema tablets. Not thinking again. I mean, I was just too excited. So then I arrived in the New York airport, and I phoned Tracy, and I said, "I'm going to go to Brooklyn to get the jitney to the Hamptons."
Mm-hmm.
And she said, "There's no way in living hell are you going to do that. It's too dangerous. I am paying." This is the kind of lady she is. But don't expect everything, you know, she can't do, but I'm going to pay for a cab driver to take you all the way from New York to the Hamptons. Great. Fabulous. Thank you, Tracy. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So I get on there all happy. But as I start, those water retention tablets stop doing that thing.
Oh,
so
no.
We're traveling along, and I'm asking this driver to stop because I need to go to the loo. So now, and I'm putting on my makeup, and I'm trying to look half decent in the back of the cab. So eventually, there's a part that you stop. You go into the Hamptons, and it's just grass. So so there's no place for a petrol station, or what do you call them in America, where you put the gas in, a gas station. There's no, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So eventually, it was, the water was coming. It was coming. So eventually, this cab driver, he was such a gentleman. He said, "Lady, don't worry. There's a field there. Just, I will protect you. Just go." Anyway, so thank God I made the trip. You know, it had subsided a little bit. As I got to the watermill, I think it's the watermill studio. He dropped me off. One of the trainers arrived and fetched me, and I literally went into class.
Wow.
Literally went into the class, yeah. And you know what amazed me is the muscle memory just took over. There I was.
Yeah.
Oh, no. I have not traveled 14 hours on a plane flight sleeping on sleeping tablets. I'm not just taking edema and my water retention is all over the place. No, I'm doing my thing, you know. So that was my second trip. I think I met Claire on that trip. And I remember chasing sunsets with Shane on that trip as well. So we had yes. And on that trip, we also danced with a certain lady until 4 o'clock in the morning in some Hamptons little, I don't know what they call them in Hamptons. They call them a dive here, but yes. I won't mention who that person is. But she was she was doing her thing until 4 o'clock in the morning. Yep. And so were we. And believe you me, come 7 o'clock the next morning, she was ready for class. Yeah. I got a wake-up call because it was just coffee and then straight into the studio, heated. And I still wasn't over my, what you call it, when you have
jet lag.
Yeah, that one. And, you know, so I wasn't over in any of that. Geez, that class, wow, that class really hurt. And I looked at her and I went, "You are a machine. You are a machine."
Oh, that's too funny.
But let me tell you, sorry, I'm speaking a lot, but I don't get a chance to share. When you are behind Tracy in class, and when this whole COVID thing is over, you know, I really encourage anybody to do a vitality with her. When you see her muscles working in class, you almost see the method in a human body. I stood behind her in one class. Every single muscle in her back was engaged, working, expanding, contracting, in, out. And that's where all the little muscles and all the big muscles and everything was working together, all working this incredible body. So, that, you know, that was also quite an experience for the...
Yeah. I love it. I hope to do that one day when we're able to again. I've never met Tracy or taken a class with her, but I've had the pleasure of meeting a bunch of Tamily on trips and also going
you
to
must.
several studios. Yeah. Oh, it's number one of my priorities. So I'm curious a little
You,
bit about
you really,
the method and how you go ahead.
no, and I'm just saying, you really must do
Oh, yes.
the class with Tracy. It's, if you can.
Oh yeah, it's definitely on the wish list. So I want to ask a little bit about kind of how you practice the method regularly. Do you watch the breakdowns and do you do anything special after you watch the breakdowns before you jump into the class, or do you just go in because you're such a pro, a veteran at this point? Do you just go into the class and you figure it out?
Sometimes, most times I do watch the breakdowns because I'm in the attain lane. And I did the fundamental class today because I wanted to feel the difference. And there definitely is a difference. Fundamentals more the classic moves where attain takes you to that next level of the interconnectors. And once you are quite confident, or not so much when you can feel that flow and you're able to connect through the flow and move through it in the attain level, then that's your lane. Sometimes I do watch the breakdowns, and I must say that Madison is incredible. I love how she explains. I think she's got a lovely mind. I love the way that she brings that to her description of the moves. But I have to say that most of my learning on the first session is from Tracy herself. And I'll tell you why, is that when I do it for the first time, I watch how she's connecting between the moves. So it's not just the plank or the coupe or any of those moves, it's how she connects from that into something else. And I watch that very closely because that's where the magic happens. Yes, of course, the major classic moves do their thing. But of course, when you're in the attain level, you're moving it up that notch. So it's the connecting, the flow, and that's where you are finding those little intricacies. You're learning about yourself, you're challenging yourself, you're getting the little tiny, in all those little things around there. And that's where the performance comes in, because that gets you into moving in ways you've never moved before. So the flow is what I look at in terms of how she's connecting. And watch her when she's doing the sequence. She's beautiful with the way she goes. She flows from the one to the other. There's actually a lovely sequence, and it's choreography. It's ballet. It has it, but not that everybody has to be a ballerina. That's so wrong. Everybody can do this method. Everybody can do. But the way that she does it allows everybody to feel and move like a dancer. So I watched that. And then the other thing is how I place my mat. Because once you've got the flow, you don't want to break the flow by, the mat's got to go there. So I work out how is my mat going to be flat this session, or is it going to be folded? Is it going to be put away? Do I not need the mat? I work out all of that so I can get the best. Once I start to the end, I have this complete and utter connection. It doesn't break.
That's really smart. I never thought about that. I feel like I'm always moving my mat around, trying to keep up on the first day anyway, but maybe I should just preview a bit more.
It's a good, once you get that flow, then the other thing that I do is that all our bodies are different. So our money spots as such, the money spots that Tracy mentions, sometimes works differently for me than for a taller person. So I then also work out where she is targeting those money spots. So when I'm doing the move, I can trigger it in my brain, goes into the muscle, and it does its thing. Like, for example, in this particular last session, you flip over into the plank, but that flip over gets into right into that lovely ab section right here. And I just love that cinch, that feel, sometimes right at the top of your thigh, and it's a very difficult place to get. The insides of the back, just behind the butt. not the butt, but just behind the butt. Now, remember correctly, I mean, Tracy is the genius regards to it, but if I remember her saying correctly, you've got to tone that part just under the butt in order to make the butt stay in its place. Well, I've always remembered it. So all those little money spots, I work out how best my body will react within the sequences and the flow of the move. Yeah. So that's what I do. And then once I've got it, and also let me say, I like it when I have to work it. That's why I'm in the attain lane. I need a challenge. I'm not going to do a class because it's easy. I'm going to do a class because it is challenging my soul, my human body, and my mind, where I need to be, where I need to grow. So I like the fact that the attains are challenging at the moment, and they continue to be challenging. And I embrace that. And I secretly thank her. Yes, yes. Give me another, So, so that challenge, sometimes I don't get the flow perfectly on the first go, but by the third go, once I've worked all those things that I've mentioned out, I can move from the start to the beginning in a complete harmony, and it's like a harmonious flow. It's a dance that you have with yourself. And in that dance, you get lost in yourself. In that losing is the meditation, the reconnection to the soul, and you work a lot of ideas, my thoughts, how I'm going to deal with things comes up, during that time.
So
to
do
answer
you?
Your question.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. Do you do attain every day, or tell me a little bit about what's your schedule like? Are you 5 to 7 days a week, or do you ever switch lanes?
I try to do every day. That's my aim. Okay. There are days where every now and again there is a day where I can't, but I actually don't like it. I like to find that hour during my day, and I've worked my lifestyle so that I can do that because I think it's important for me. From an aesthetic perspective, I'm not going to kid you. I like to look good. I think I grow in confidence in business, in the way I approach people. If I feel good about myself, then I'm going to present a person who likes you or is happy. I can smile and I also like the way it tones my skin. It makes my eyes bright. It keeps my brain agile, So I try, because of that, and because I believe in this method, I try to do it 7 days a week still. Yeah. Do I switch lanes? Only today, but rarely do I switch lanes. Because I believe if Tracy puts you in that lane and she challenges you in that lane, you're ready for that lane, you should continue it so that you grow. And that's the only way you're going to grow. You start in the beginner to connect to yourself. You find that connection in fundamental, and then you flow in attain. So there's always that movement, and it's incredible that she keeps the growth growing after all these years. So attain's my lane.
Love it. And that's a perfect way to describe it, because it's it doesn't necessarily matter what lane you're in, but it matters that you're in the lane that allows you to grow. And people may spend a different amount of time in each one, but I think ultimately the goal is to continue challenging yourself over and over, and you never get done or perfect, right? So to your point, attain is challenging every week. So even being in attain, it's not like it's ever easy. Or if it is easy, you got to work harder to figure out what you might be missing. Correct. Yeah.
Well, if you're a beginner and you start in beginner for the first time, that's going to challenge you. And you remember the first time we did arms? Oh my God, what is she doing? Oh my God, there she is. Oh, she's here now. She's there now. I mean, just that attention to detail to get the mastery of imitating her arms, so you keep that connection and that energy, because you've got to keep that energy in the arms. You can't flop. You've got to keep it, So that attention, that's a challenge. Getting your angles right so you can get the money spots, that's a challenge. So beginner, for somebody who's starting, fundamental the same way. I mean, if you look at the fundamental in here, the way she angles her foot and and the leg, that's attention to detail. That's a challenge. You know, so there's always, if you are, whatever lane you are, if you place yourself in the right lane, then yes, there's a challenge, which is again the incredible genius of her method, because she ensures that little drop of challenge is in each of those classes continually over a massive period of time. It's quite incredible if you think about it. You know?
Yeah, completely. So along that vein, what advice do you have to somebody who's new to the method, right? How do you stick with it, or do you have like a number one tip that you would share with people based on your experience?
My number one tip would be to find a place in your home.
Mm-hmm.
If you are at home, that is yours. Because if you're starting, traveling is not an easy thing if you're starting. I would say, and I know there are, but find a place that is sacred to you and make it work. Make it work so there's enough space for you to move around, roll around, film yourself. Get used to seeing yourself move. Start to see yourself. Start to connect with who you are. Start to have a conversation with yourself in that moving mode. Don't be judgmental. You know, if you can't do a move, do what you can. You know, but do it consistently. That wasn't consistently, because if you do it consistently, you will find that it might be 2 weeks, it might be a month, it might be whatever, but there will be growth, because she's continually growing you. You don't have to worry about whether you're growing or not. Just get onto the mat in the place that you have set up for yourself. Internal space, because I can see now that my battery's going. Just hold on. Oh,
okay.
There we go. I can do it. There we go. I'll be here.
You're so efficient.
I'll be here. There we go. There we go. Yes. I just hold it like this until the battery is. You get mine, because you can see me. There we go. There we go. Oh, my boots popping out.
They look nice.
Yeah.
And now you can show us your Tracy arm strength by holding the phone.
Yes, with the one. Yes. Let me put it back in. There we go. Cool banana. Oopsie. Okay, so there we go.
Can you still hear us?
Okay, but there we go. I'm still here.
Okay.
Sorry, I thought I had enough battery, but obviously I didn't. But anyway, it doesn't matter.
No problem. I'm sure going live probably takes a little bit more.
I'm wearing this dress because it is very, very hot here. But I just have to be aware, because it does have the boob pop, and I don't want to do that on live Instagram. That'd be very Tracy, but not me.
So we know where you live. You live in South Africa, but what do you do? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I used to run a system until somebody took it over, and if you are the person who's looking at it, really, you can't take something that somebody created and just copy and paste it. So I've been through a bit of an uphill with the fact that somebody took something that was meaningful to me. And I took a sabbatical. I was lucky enough that I could do it. And I'm slowly now, and thank heavens, I'd sort of arranged my life so that when COVID happened, it actually was fine for me, because I was in that nesting transition phase. So I'm now coming out of it, and there are new things, and possibly China in the new year, but that's all in it depends on the border. It depends on the borders. It depends on the opening up. But I have a few things that are in. But mainly, I'm a lady of leisure at the moment. Now, I wouldn't say leisure. I'm not a leisurely kind of person. See? But I'm not in that. I'm not working like I used to. Put that way.
Okay. But what is your
in the corporate environment? Communication.
Okay.
There we go. Yeah, communication. I was in the internet industry in the 90s. So I was the little lady who used to go to people and sell them the internet. And I remember, yes, and I remember the advertising agencies in South Africa used to say to me, "Oh, but that's for telecom." And telecom is the telephone line. You know, I think you got ATM, or what's your one?
Oh yeah, we have AT&T and Verizon.
AT&T, yes,
Yeah.
yes. Oh no, that's for telecom. Well, no, it was not for telecom, was it? It's become huge. So
Yeah.
yes. So then from there I went into multimedia, and I did many shows. One show, and if Arit is watching Arit, where are you? I did one show for Wella. Remember Wella, the hair product? And I had Arit Noble coming. That was such fun. You remember the orgasmatrons in the old days? There were these little things that they looked. They were steel domes, and you put it onto your head, and it buzzed, and it actually made you feel all nice and woolly in your head.
Oh.
And the South Africa, they became known as the orgasmatrons. So I used those as the teasers. And that was the most attended weather launch they'd ever had. I wonder why. So then Arit, I hope you're watching, Arit. I got her to come out in a cowboy hat in the orange color, because the shampoo that they were launching was orange. And she sang Sex Bomb, Sex Bomb. Remember that one?
Yes.
Sex Bomb, I'm a sex bomb. Yeah. I tell you, I did that for a long time. And,
that's awesome.
Then we went into mixed media, so we would do an AV. In back in the day, it was all about slides, and you put like dozens of slides in multiple projectors, and you projected them against the wall, and it created this beautiful scenery. So we would do that with digital, which is multimedia, with PowerPoint, and with a speaker. So very much multimedia. But then I was getting stressed. Rashes from here to here, because I like to do things properly. You probably saw that from it. So, so I was getting stress rashes from here to here, and I decided the internet is better for me because it's more handleable. You do it, you get into the maintenance. I got into the back end, and that's when I created the system that I created, which actually ran a company for many years until somebody decided that they were going to copy and paste my work and take it over, and unfortunately they haven't done it well, but I'm not going to mention. If you are watching, well, sorry for you. Because imagine if somebody had to try and copy paste Tracy's method. You can't. A creator, it comes from the heart. Creation comes from here. It doesn't come from ones and noughts or a manual that you can follow. You cannot copy and paste that. That's why I'm with Tracy when she says people will try and copy, but they'll never ever emulate my method properly. So I understand completely. So so it took me a while to get used to it, but I'm now fine, and life's dandy.
Well, I totally understand that, and I agree. You can try to replicate what someone does, but true creation is an internal kind of being. And I think, if you think of the legacy that you've left, that somebody wanted to copy you, even though they didn't do it well, I don't know, it's not necessarily like a condolence or anything, but I'm excited to hear about what you do in the future, right? When you're ready to tell us. Maybe next year, if you take on a new challenge and bring something even, better out there for everybody.
I think what this method has taught me is to have way more confidence in who I am. And I used to try to control everything. I used to try and that's what my future is. That's who I am. That's what I'll be doing. I mean, I used to lay out my clothes every evening, knowing exactly how I was going to tackle every day. I used to write to-do lists and tick them off every single, and I lost a little bit of life. I lost the ability to, for example, in a relationship, you've got to allow the other person the time to get to know you and to love you and to all those sort of things. And I was too single-minded, and I want to change that. So that's why I'm hesitant to say, okay, well, that, you know, I'm giving myself that time to just get back and also to work with the universe.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
maybe the universe has a different idea. I'm open to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't want to be the person who's just stomping around and going, this is how it's going to happen. You know? So that's where I'm at the moment.
That's amazing, because that's some of the experience that comes over time, right? And some of it has to, even the method helps with that. But you learn that you can't control the wave, so you have to ride the wave.
Yes,
a
exactly.
little bit, right?
Exactly. Yes.
And figure out how to do it.
We need a glass of champagne. It's a good conversation.
I know, we really do. Well, and I want to say,
yes,
we probably have 3 minutes or so left, because I think Instagram cuts us off live. So I want to make sure that we have an opportunity to close. But as we think about these last couple minutes, because I wish I could keep this going for hours and go pour myself some champagne. But is there any other kind of words of wisdom or advice or anything that you personally would like to share with the Tamily, whoever's watching live? And I know that people are going to go watch it on YouTube, where it's going to live forever, and also on the Ask Tamily page. But what would you like to share with the Tamily while you have this audience?
I'm glad you asked that question. It's something that's very big in my heart because of my involvement in TAM International Tamily.
Yeah.
Please, nobody is better than you, and you are no better than anybody else. Okay? It's not about performing the moves perfectly. It's not about filming perfectly and looking perfect. This is a raw, real method. It's about sweating. It's about connecting with yourself. It's about going, oh my God, how can I get that move done? And then actually doing it.
Yeah.
It's about some days you've had a whole lot of cakes and your tummy might not be as tight. That's okay. This isn't about you being perfect in front of the camera. This is a real raw method. And please, because that is why. Look at me, I'm doing it all perfectly, because you're actually missing it. The method is about that flow, that connection, that inner work as well as the outer work. So if you are sweating, and that is why I tam sometimes looking like I do, because I want to show the raw and the real. I mean, I think about 3 posts back, I had a very emotional week. You can see I got my glasses on. I've got very fine hair. It gets wet very quickly. I'm all over the place. I'm gonna post that. I'm gonna post in my Bikram shorts that I love. You know. You probably see. I also would like to say to Tamily, I do wash that pink costume that I wear all the time when I post. It's just the most comfortable things, and when I do film, it's comfortable. But I promise you, if you see a post, from one day to the next, that costume has been washed before. So just so you know. So does that answer your question? Does that answer?
It does. It does, and I think that's a perfect way to close. Is that you don't need anything special. You don't need fancy outfits. This is about being yourself, spending the time on yourself, learning and growing, and just showing up every day. And every day is not going to be perfect, but just keep going.
You said it perfectly. You see.
I'm taking your advice. Although I never look perfect when I post. I work out in my garage.
Bring on the champagne.
Yes. Well, Gillian, it's been an absolute joy to talk to you. I'm so happy to get to know you, and I can't wait to connect even further on Instagram. Thank you so much for joining us all the way across the world. I hope maybe one day I'll get to meet you. Maybe we'll be at a Vitality Week together once we can do that again.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Dance till 4 o'clock in the morning.
Oh,
and
yes.
chase sunsets.
I am 100% in for that. It's been so lovely to meet you. Thank you for sharing your story with us and your journey with us. If anyone else has other questions, they might actually put them on the post or tag you. But thanks to everyone who participated and joined this conversation today as well. I wish you a fantastic evening.
Thank you, you too. And love to you all.
Yes. Thank you so
Bye-bye.
much, Gillian. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.